The words cut through the crystal-laden rehearsal dinner like a knife through silk. Oh, please don't ask the broke old hag to contribute. She probably needs that money for her medications. My son's fiancée, Vanessa, said it loud enough for everyone at the head table to hear. Every face turned toward me. The string quartet in the corner seemed to pause mid-note. The sommelier froze mid-pour. Even the murmur of conversation died. I sat there in my 15-year-old navy dress from Macy's, the one I'd steamed carefully that morning, and felt every eye dissecting me. My worn black purse, my sensible Target shoes, my unmanicured hands folded carefully on the white linen tablecloth. Vanessa's smile was perfect, practiced. The smile of someone who just said something deliciously cruel and knew she could get away with it. I looked at my son, my Jacob, the boy I'd raised alone after his father died, the boy whose Berkeley acceptance letter I'd cried over because I knew I'd make it work somehow, the boy I'd worked the graveyard shift at Mercy Hospital for. He was staring at his plate, jaw clenched, saying nothing, not defending me, not even looking at me. Then he did something worse than nothing. He leaned toward Vanessa and whispered something in her ear. She smiled wider, squeezed his hand under the table, relaxed. Whatever he just said, it wasn't, "Don't talk to my mother that way." My son had chosen his side, and it wasn't mine. That's when my phone buzzed in my purse. I probably should have ignored it, but instinct made me check, some part of me needing a lifeline, anything to look away from my son's betrayal. The bank alert glowed on my screen. Deposit confirmed. $2.3 million. Marcus Chen Life Insurance Final Settlement. Below it, a second alert. Trust activation. Notice Marcus Chen Estate Trust number 7432 now accessible. Conditional trigger met. Total additional assets released, $847,000. Contact attorney immediately on letter of instruction. 2 years of legal battles over Marcus's life insurance. 2 years of paperwork and waiting, and it had finally cleared. Tonight. This exact moment. But that second alert, the trust I'd never heard of, the conditional trigger, the letter of instruction, that was new. My hand tightened on the phone. The diamond on my wedding ring, Marcus's ring, caught the candlelight and threw tiny rainbows across the tablecloth. I watched them dance and thought about the envelope I'd opened 3 months ago. The day Jacob told me I'd be embarrassing at his engagement party. The day I'd finally opened Marcus's letter, the one his lawyer had given me with explicit instructions. Open only if someone you love betrays you. Inside, Marcus's handwriting had been clear. My darling Catherine, if you're reading this, someone has hurt you deeply. I've left you the tools to protect yourself and teach them what they need to learn. But remember, if you use this money for vengeance, you'll lose something more valuable than wealth. Choose wisely, choose love, even when love doesn't choose you back. I'd thought the betrayal was complete that day 3 months ago. I was wrong. Tonight was worse. I slipped my phone back into my purse, looked up, met Vanessa's eyes across the table. She was still smiling, waiting for me to crumble, to make excuses, to leave quietly like the embarrassing old woman she thought I was. Instead, I smiled back, calm, unnaturally calm. "Don't worry about me, dear," I said softly. "I'm managing just fine. My name is Catherine Chen. I'm 68 years old. I'm a widow. And until 30 seconds ago, everyone at this table, including my own son, thought I was barely scraping by on Social Security. She didn't know I was rich, but more importantly, she didn't know that Marcus had planned for this exact moment. The trust activation wasn't random. It was triggered by something specific, something that had just happened. I didn't know what the trigger was yet, but I had a feeling I was about to find out. And when I did, everything would change. I gathered my purse and the water glass I'd barely touched. The young waiter led me through the crowd to table 12, tucked near the kitchen doors. I could hear dishes clattering, staff shouting orders in Spanish. Before I left the head table, I caught the end of Jacob's whisper to Vanessa. I was close enough to see his lips move, to read his body language if not his exact words. Whatever he said made her relax, made her smile, made her squeeze his hand under the table. He hadn't defended me. He'd comforted her. Marcus died 18 months ago. Heart attack, sudden. We'd been eating breakfast. The same breakfast we'd shared for 42 years. Scrambled eggs, wheat toast, black coffee for him, cream and sugar for me. He'd kissed my forehead, said, "I love you, Kath." 20 minutes later, he collapsed in our kitchen. Gone before the paramedics arrived. At table 12, I sat with elderly relatives of Vanessa's who spoke to each other in Russian, smiling politely at me between conversations I couldn't understand. From this new vantage point, I had a clear view of the head table. I watched my son, really watched him. The way he hung on Vanessa's every word, the way he laughed too hard at her jokes, the way he kept touching her hand, her shoulder, her back, as if reassuring himself she was real. He used to look at me that way. When he was small, I'd raised Jacob alone after Marcus's first heart attack, when our boy was 12 and Marcus couldn't work for 8 months. I took 2 jobs. Cleaned office buildings at night. The Pacific Tower downtown, 43 floors, my knees aching by 3 a.m. Worked retail at Nordstrom during the day, standing in heels for 8-hour shifts, smiling at customers who didn't see me. Jacob never went without. New cleats when he made the basketball team, the graphing calculator for AP Calculus, his own laptop for college applications. He got into Berkeley. Full ride? No. But I made it work. Took out loans in my name, $23,000 by the time he graduated. He never knew. I told him he'd gotten more scholarship money than expected. Marcus paid those loans off 3 years ago without telling me. I found the receipts after he died in a folder labeled Catherine's Freedom. That should have been my first clue my husband had been keeping secrets. The speeches began. Vanessa's father, a small, nervous man who kept adjusting his tie, talked about his daughter's ambition and how blessed they were that Jacob came from humble beginnings, but had such drive. Humble beginnings, as if poverty were a charming personality trait. Vanessa's maid of honor told a story about a trip to Cabo. Jacob's best friend told a story about college. My son gave a speech about starting fresh and building the life we deserve on our own terms. He thanked Vanessa's parents, the wedding planner, the venue. He didn't mention me, not once. Jacob had brought Vanessa home for the first time 9 months ago. Christmas dinner, she'd been charming. Brought a $60 bottle of wine I later saw reviewed in a magazine. Complimented my pot roast. Asked thoughtful questions about Marcus, about our marriage, about how we'd made it work for so long. But something nagged at me. A comment she'd made while we were looking at old photo albums. I was married briefly in my early 20s. Barely counts, really, we were kids. When I'd asked where, she'd smoothly changed the subject. "Oh, that's ancient history. Tell me more about when you and Marcus bought the beach house." Later, I'd tried to look her up online. Vanessa Rodriguez, age 28, marketing consultant. Her Instagram went back 2 years. Professional photos, travel shots, inspirational quotes. Her Facebook was similar. Started in 2021. LinkedIn showed work history going back to 2020. Before that, nothing. No college photos, no high school friends tagging her, no digital footprint. It was as if she'd been born fully formed 2 years ago. Around that same time, I'd noticed money missing. Small amounts from the envelope I kept in my kitchen drawer. $50 here, $100 there, my grocery money. I had a key hidden under the back porch planter. Jacob knew about it. "For emergencies, Mom." I didn't want to believe it was him. So I tested it, left $200 in the envelope, marked the serial numbers. A week later, $100 was gone. 2 weeks after that, I saw Vanessa post a photo on Instagram, designer handbag, the kind that cost $800. Caption, "When BIE surprises you, Bae, my son." Using my grocery money to buy her presents. The stealing stopped 6 months ago, right around the time Jacob started talking about proposing. He didn't need my $50 bills anymore. He was going after a bigger prize. The rehearsal dinner finally ended around 10 p.m. Vanessa blew kisses to everyone. Jacob shook hands, his smile tight with stress. I slipped out quietly. No one said goodbye. In my car, the 2009 Honda Civic with 140,000 miles that still ran perfectly, I sat for a moment in the parking lot, watching guests filter out in their expensive cars. BMWs, Teslas, a Mercedes SUV. Then I drove home, taking the long way, needing time to think. Marcus's will had included a condition I'd struggled to understand. His lawyer, Mr. Patterson, had explained it after the funeral. Catherine, the inheritance comes with a specific instruction. The money must be used to teach someone who needs to learn about true value. Marcus didn't specify who or how. He trusted your judgment. No deadline, no restrictions, just that one condition. For 18 months, I hadn't known what it meant or who it was meant for. Now I knew. The house was dark when I got home. I sat in the driveway for 10 minutes, the engine ticking as it cooled, looking at the small 3-bedroom where Marcus and I had built our life. Inside, I went straight to my bedroom, opened the dresser drawer, the manila envelope Marcus had given me the day before he died. I'd opened it a week after his funeral, when I finally felt strong enough. Inside had been 3 smaller envelopes, each labeled in his neat handwriting. Envelope 1. Read first, my final love letter. Envelope 2. Open only if someone you love betrays you. Envelope 3. The truth about what I did to protect you. I'd read Envelope 1 immediately, cried for hours over his words about choosing love over vengeance, about true wealth being measured in character, not currency. I'd opened Envelope 2 last night, after Jacob texted me, "Mom, please try not to talk too much at the rehearsal dinner, just blend in." Inside had been instructions, and a flash drive. Now I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. The file was labeled Investigation Report Confidential, not from Marcus, from me. 2 months ago, after Vanessa's strange comment about her previous marriage, I'd done something I'd never done before. Something Marcus probably would have been proud of, even if it felt invasive. I'd hired a private investigator, used $1,500 from the insurance settlement. The report had arrived last week. I read it again now, the words just as devastating the second time. Subject Vanessa Marie Rodriguez, alias, legal name Oksana Kozlov Volkov, age 32, not 28. Previous marriages David Chen, 2018-2019, 6 months. Subject drained joint accounts, $47,000. Disappeared. Subject filed for bankruptcy, Robert Martinez, 2019-2020, 8 months. Subject named in will 2 weeks before his death in single car accident. Insurance investigation inconclusive. Subject inherited $230,000. Christopher Allen, 2020-2021, 4 months. Parents hired investigator. Subject disappeared when confronted. Allen reported $180,000 in debt from loans taken in his name. Current associations. Subject maintains active relationship with Viktor Kozlov, believed to be brother or cousin. Known associate of Eastern European organized crime. Financial fraud suspected. Subject may be operating under duress or as active participant. Photographic evidence attached. Image 1. Subject with Viktor Kozlov dated 3/15/2024, 2 weeks ago. I opened the photo. Vanessa, Oksana, in a restaurant I recognized. Downtown, expensive. She was kissing a man who was not my son. The date stamp, 2 weeks ago, while wearing the engagement ring Jacob had spent 3 months saving for. My hands shook. Not just a gold digger, a professional, and my son had no idea. I stared at the photo on my laptop. Oksana kissing a man outside a downtown restaurant. 2 weeks ago, while wearing Jacob's engagement ring. My phone buzzed again. Trust activation notice. M. Chen Estate. Trust number 7432. Time-based trigger, 18 months post-death. Full estate assets now accessible. Total available, $3.1 million. 18 months. Marcus had timed it exactly. I looked at the 3 envelopes spread across my bed. I'd opened envelope 1 a week after Marcus's funeral. Inside was a letter and a list. My darling Catherine, I'm not leaving you helpless. Over 40 years, I built something to keep you safe, protected, free. The list showed assets I never knew existed. Life insurance, $2.3 million. Rental properties generating $8,400 monthly. Investments, $847,000. Savings, $156,000. Business equity in Taurus Construction. Total value, $3.4 million. His letter continued. I lived modestly because I never wanted money to change us. Use this to teach someone who needs to learn about true value. You'll know who when the time comes. Tonight I knew. Now I opened envelope 3. The truth about what I did to protect you. My hands shook. Catherine, 20 years ago, I made a terrible mistake. A business deal with Victor Kozlov and his brother. They fronted $200,000. The market crashed. I lost everything. The original loan was 15% interest, compounding. After 20 years, I owe $3.2 million, almost everything we have. I've been negotiating for years. Victor finally agreed to accept $180,000 as full settlement, but only if paid within 24 months of my death. I've set aside exactly that amount in account 7432. Pay him before the deadline. The debt dies with the payment. If you don't, they'll come for everything. Victor collects debts through women, associates, girlfriends, family members. They target families. They'll come for Jacob. They use romance and manipulation. Protect him. I'm sorry. At the bottom was a business card. Victor Kozlov, Kozlov Properties. I pulled up the investigator's report again, scrolled to known associates. Victor Kozlov operates through female associates who target wealthy individuals. Known associates include Oksana Kozlov, sister. Vanessa was Victor's sister. Jacob hadn't randomly met a con artist. She'd been sent to collect Marcus's debt. I looked at the photo again. The investigator's note said, unidentified male, not Victor Kozlov. Subject maintains multiple concurrent relationships, common in organized fraud. She was cheating on Jacob with someone else entirely. My phone rang. Patterson, Marcus's attorney. Catherine, the trust activated. Are you all right? I opened envelope 3, Victor. I know, Marcus told me everything 5 years ago. Listen carefully. The wedding is in 36 hours. If you make a large public transaction with the trust funds right now, the IRS will likely trigger an audit. They've been monitoring Marcus's accounts. Nothing illegal, but complicated offshore structures. An audit means frozen assets for 6 months, $50,000 in legal fees, everything becomes public record. What do I do? Pay Victor through the designated account. That's clean, documented debt repayment. After that processes, you can use the rest freely. But Catherine, if you expose Victor's sister publicly at the wedding, he might reject the settlement and demand the full $3.2 million. How much time do I have? 6 months until the settlement deadline, but Victor won't wait patiently. If his sister is already involved, he's escalating. I sat surrounded by evidence. Oksana targeted Jacob on Victor's orders. Marry him, access my inheritance, drain it, disappear. But they thought I was poor. That's why she'd been so cruel tonight. If she knew about the $3 million, she'd adjust her plan. I made 2 lists. Reasons to expose her. She's a professional con artist. She's cruel. She'll destroy Jacob. She works for Victor. She's cheating on him. Marcus warned me about this. Reasons not to. Jacob might never forgive me. Public humiliation could lose him forever. Marcus said revenge tastes like poison. The IRS could freeze everything. Victor might retaliate. I decided I'd pay Victor tonight, $180,000, clear Marcus's debt completely. Then I'd go to the wedding, I'd watch. I'd give Oksana one chance to show genuine love for Jacob, genuine remorse, genuine humanity. If she showed it, I'd tell Jacob everything privately afterward, show him the evidence, let him choose. If she stayed cruel, I'd act publicly, pay whatever bill she couldn't cover. Let the contrast between her cruelty and my generosity teach the lesson Marcus intended. Either way, Jacob would learn the truth. The only question was how. I reached for my phone to call Patterson. Before I could dial, it rang. Jacob, 11:47 p.m. the night before his wedding. I answered. Mom. His voice was shaking. He'd been crying. Mom, are you awake? I'm awake, honey. What's wrong? I'm outside your house. I've been sitting in my car for half an hour trying to get the courage to knock. I walked to the window. His car sat across the street, headlights off. Why didn't you come in? Because I'm ashamed. Because I don't know if you'll let me in after how I've treated you. Jacob, what's going on? Silence, then something like a broken sob. I need to tell you something before the wedding. About Vanessa. About me. About things I've let her convince me to do. Mom, I think I've made a terrible mistake. I think she's not who I thought she was. And I've been so desperate to believe in this that I've become someone I don't recognize. My hand gripped the phone. Come. Inside. Right now. You don't hate me. Never. Come in, we'll talk. I heard his car door open, saw him cross the street, shoulders hunched, moving like a man facing execution. Everything had just changed. I opened the door as Jacob reached the porch. His eyes were red, shirt wrinkled. He looked shattered. Come in, I said. He stepped inside, then stopped in the hallway. Just stood there. I don't know where to start. Start anywhere, honey. He took a shaky breath. The money I took from your kitchen drawer over the past 6 months, that was me. I know. His head snapped up. You knew? I marked the serial numbers. I saw the designer bags your fiancé posted on Instagram. I did the math. His face changed. Hardened. So you were spying on me? Your own son. You've never liked her, Mom. You've never thought anyone was good enough for me. Jacob, sit down, please. I came here to apologize for the money, not to hear you trash the woman I love. Then don't listen to me. Look at your phone. The texts from Victor you saw tonight. He froze. How do you know about those? Because I've been investigating too. Sit, let me show you something. He sat reluctantly. I spread the private investigator's report across the kitchen table. The photos, the previous marriages, all of it. He stared, then shook his head. This could be fake. Private investigators make mistakes. These other guys, maybe they're lying about her. Maybe Victor is just her overprotective brother and I'm misunderstanding the texts. Jacob, her real name isn't Vanessa Rodriguez. It's Oksana Kozlov. She's Victor's sister, and she was sent to target you specifically. That's insane. Why would anyone target me? I'm nobody. I work in marketing. I don't have money. Actually, you do. Your grandmother left you $50,000 when you were 10. I've been adding to it for 20 years. It's worth about $500,000 now. It matures when you turn 30. The color drained from his face. That's in 3 months. 90 days. The same timeline Victor mentioned in those texts. I watched the realization break over him in waves. He picked up the photo of Oksana with the unidentified man outside the restaurant. Date stamped 2 weeks ago. She told me she was working late that night. He whispered. I showed him the rest. The previous marriages, the pattern, the connection to Victor. He stared at everything for a long time. Then he started crying. Real broken sobs. I threw away my relationship with you for someone who never loved me. I stole from you to buy her things. I let her call you horrible names. What kind of person have I become? I pulled him into my arms, let him cry it out. After he calmed down, I made tea. We sat together in silence for a moment. Then my phone rang. Patterson, Marcus's attorney. Catherine, we have a problem. The bank requires a 72-hour hold on any transfer over $100,000. New federal regulation. You can't pay Victor the settlement amount before the wedding. What are my options? Pay from a different account without holds, but that triggers the IRS monitoring I warned about. Or wait, 72 hours and hope Victor doesn't escalate. I hung up, looked at Jacob. Your father left money to pay off a debt to Victor, $180,000. If I don't pay it, Victor could demand over $3 million instead, but I can't access it in time. This is because of me, isn't it? Because Oksana couldn't get to your money the normal way, so Victor is escalating. This started long before you, but yes, you're caught in the middle now. Jacob leaned forward. So what do we do? The wedding is in 32 hours, 200 people are coming. How do we stop this? Do you want to stop it? Of course, but if I cancel now, I look insane. She'll deny everything, make me look paranoid. I thought for a moment. We don't cancel. We go through with it, but strategically. What do you mean? Listen carefully. Step 1, you go back to the apartment tonight. Act completely normal. Don't let her know you saw those texts. I have to go back there? Face her? If you don't come home, she'll know something's wrong. She might cancel the wedding herself, disappear before we can expose her to Victor. You have to pretend everything's fine. Can you do that? He swallowed hard. I don't know, but I'll try. Step 2, leave your social media post about me being toxic. Don't delete it. Let her think she's completely won, that you've cut me off. Overconfident people make mistakes. And you? Step 3. I show up at the wedding tomorrow, uninvited. She'll be furious, but she won't make a scene before the ceremony. Not in front of 200 guests. Then what? I watch. I wait. If the bill crisis happens, and based on what I know about her finances it will, that's when she'll reveal her true self. That's when I step in. I'll pay whatever she can't, and I'll make sure Victor sees that I can pay him too. That triggers the IRS audit you mentioned. Yes, but it also shows Victor I have the money and I'm willing to use it. It might buy us time to negotiate. Jacob stared at me. You're risking everything for this. Not everything, just money. I'd still have you. His phone buzzed. A text from Oksana. Where are you? Come home. We need to finalize things for tomorrow. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Not a text. A photo. Jacob's car parked outside my house. Taken from across the street. Taken minutes ago. Below it, a message. 9 a.m. tomorrow, Riverside Cafe. We'll discuss the settlement. Don't make me wait. No signature. Didn't need one. Jacob saw the photo over my shoulder. He's watching us right now? Apparently. Mom, you can't meet him alone. This guy is dangerous. I forwarded the photo to Patterson with a note. If I don't contact you by 10 a.m., call police. Then I looked at Jacob. You need to go back before she gets more suspicious. Can you do this? Pretend I don't know she's using me. Pretend I still want to marry her for 32 more hours? Yes. He stood slowly. This is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. If anything feels dangerous, you leave. Promise me. I promise. At the door, he turned back. Mom, I'm so sorry for everything. We'll fix this. Together. After he left, I watched through the window as he got in his car and drove away. Back to her. Back to pretending. I sat alone in my kitchen looking at Victor's photo. Someone was watching my house right now. Someone had been out there while Jacob and I talked. In 8 hours, I'd meet Victor Kozlov face to face. In 32 hours, my son would walk down the aisle toward a woman who'd done this 3 times before. I had Marcus's wisdom, some accessible money, and a plan that depended on everything going exactly right. Marcus's voice in my head. True power is knowing when not to use it. Tomorrow, I'd find out if I had that kind of power, or if I was about to lose everything trying to save my son. 9 a.m. Riverside Cafe. Victor Kozlov arrived exactly on time. Tall, well-dressed, expensive watch. He looked like a successful businessman, not a criminal. That made him more dangerous. He sat without asking. Mrs. Chen, let's discuss the settlement. $180,000. Are you planning to honor it? I'll have the money by Monday. The bank has a 72-hour hold. I was hoping for payment today before the wedding. Why does timing matter? He leaned back. Let's be honest. You know who Vanessa really is. Pay me today in cash, and I call her off. The wedding doesn't happen. Your son doesn't get hurt. You'd pull your own sister out of a con? For the right price. Cash is untraceable. Bank transfers leave records. Get me $180,000 by 5 p.m., or the settlement disappears. The full debt comes due. Do you have $3.2 million in cash? No. Then find a way. He stood. Enjoy the wedding. I called Patterson from my car. Can I get $180,000 in cash by 5 p.m.? Absolutely not. Banks don't keep that much available. Don't pay him in cash, Catherine. Stick to the settlement terms. The wedding ceremony began at 2 p.m. I arrived at 1:30. The venue was beautiful. Garden setting, white chairs, flowers everywhere. I wore my wine-colored dress. Dignified, not expensive. Oksana saw me. For one moment, her mask slipped. Pure fury. Then she smiled. Catherine, what a surprise. My son invited me. How lovely. She walked away, pulling out her phone. Texting Victor, probably. The ceremony was short. Jacob looked miserable. Oksana looked radiant. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, I stayed silent. That wasn't the plan. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Everyone applauded. I felt sick. The reception started at 4 p.m. I watched Oksana work the room. She was good. Touching arms, laughing, playing the perfect bride. Then I overheard 2 of her friends near the bar. She actually pulled it off, one said. I thought the old lady would cause a scene. Has she accessed the trust fund yet? Not until 90 days, but she's got him convinced to borrow against it for the honeymoon. 50,000, wire transfer Monday. And then she disappears. Victor's got the new identity ready. She's done this enough times. My hands clenched. During dinner, I went to the restroom. Two women were at the sinks talking. Can you believe her parents' check bounced? One said. Wait, what? The venue told the wedding planner an hour ago. The deposit didn't clear. They're going to stop the reception if someone doesn't pay. $73,000. Who has that kind of cash? They left. I stood in the stall, heart racing. This was it, the moment we'd planned for. At 5:45, the venue coordinator approached the head table. She whispered to Oksana. Oksana stood abruptly. What do you mean the payment didn't clear? The music stopped. Everyone turned. The coordinator spoke quietly, but everyone heard. The deposit check bounced. We need final payment to continue. $73,000. Gasps around the room. Oksana looked at her parents. Her father stared at his plate. You told me you had it, Oksana said. We told you we couldn't afford this, her mother said quietly. You insisted anyway. Oksana turned to Jacob. Use your credit cards, your savings, something. Jacob looked at her steadily. I have $1,700 in savings. You knew that. What about your trust fund? The room went silent. Jacob's face was blank. What trust fund? Don't play dumb. The $500,000 from your grandmother. You can borrow against it. How do you know about that? I found out 3 days ago. I never told you. Panic flashed in her eyes. You must have mentioned it. I didn't. The only way you'd know is if you investigated my finances without my knowledge. Whispers erupted. Your mother must have told me, she said desperately. All eyes turned to me. I stood slowly. I never mentioned it to you, Oksana. I've barely spoken to you. Her face flushed. This is your fault. You probably have money. Marcus worked 40 years. I know you're not as poor as you pretend. Stop playing victim and help your son. The room held its breath. I walked toward the head table. Every eye followed. You're right about one thing. I'm not as poor as you think. I pulled out my phone, showed it to the coordinator. Will this account work? She looked. Her eyes widened. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I transferred $73,000 right there, in front of 200 people. The coordinator's phone pinged. Payment received. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. Shocked whispers filled the room. Oksana stared at my phone screen. At the remaining balance visible before I closed the app. $2.8 million. You've been lying, she whispered. Playing poor. You had millions and you let us think. I never said I was poor. You assumed. You made plans based on that assumption, bad plans. Jacob stood, looked at his new wife. How did you really know about my trust fund, Vanessa? Or should I call you Oksana? Her face went white. That's right, Jacob said. I know your real name. I know about Victor. I know about the 3 men before me. I know everything. She looked around wildly, at the guests staring, at her parents frozen, at the exits. Then she ran, out of the reception hall, down the steps, across the lawn in her wedding dress. Jacob didn't follow her. He looked at me across the silent room. Mom, I'm sorry for everything. I know, honey. The DJ awkwardly started the music again. Some guests left. Others stayed, clearly desperate to see what would happen next. My phone buzzed. Victor. Clever, but you still owe me $180,000 by Monday? Don't forget. I texted back. You'll get your money, but your sister's done destroying families. If she comes near Jacob again, every detail of this goes to the police. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response. I sat down, suddenly exhausted. The mother of the groom, at a wedding with no bride. I'd won, but it didn't feel like winning. It felt like the beginning of something much more complicated. Oksana made it halfway across the lawn before she stopped, turned around, walked back. She wasn't running away. She was regrouping. When she returned to the reception hall, her face was different. The sweet bride mask was completely gone. What remained was cold calculation. You want to do this here? Fine, let's do this. She walked to the center of the room, addressed the guests like she was holding court. Everyone should know the truth about Catherine Chen, about how her husband Marcus really made his money. Should we talk about his business deals with Viktor Kozlov? About the offshore accounts? About the tax evasion that funded this so-called fortune? Gasps around the room. She was good. Even cornered, she knew how to work a crowd. I stayed calm. You've done your research. Of course I did. You think I'd target your family without knowing everything? Marcus owed Victor $3.2 million. Money he borrowed from criminals? That inheritance you're so proud of? It's dirty money, built on crime. More whispers. Some guests looking at me differently now? Jacob stood. Stop talking about my father. Why? Because the truth hurts? Your dad was a criminal, Jacob, and your mom has been lying about it. I walked to the center of the room, stood facing her. You're right about one thing. Marcus did owe Victor money, a business deal that went bad 20 years ago. Not crime. Bad timing. Market crash. He spent 2 decades negotiating a settlement. $180,000 instead of $3.2 million. That's not criminal. That's smart. You're still paying off criminals. I'm settling a legitimate debt. And yes, I'll pay it on Monday. But let's talk about your debts, Oksana. Her eyes narrowed. What did you call me? I pulled the private investigator's report from my purse, held it up. Oksana Kozlov, your real name. Should I read this aloud, or would you like to leave quietly? That's fake. Anyone can make up documents. 47 pages of documentation, bank records, marriage certificates, police reports from 3 different states, your previous victims. David Chen, married 6 months, you drained $47,000. Robert Martinez, married 8 months, died in a suspicious car accident 2 weeks after making you his beneficiary. Christopher Allen, married 4 months, left with $180,000 in debt. The room was dead silent. Jacob took the report from my hands, started reading. His face went whiter with each page. Oksana lunged for the report. Give me that. Jacob stepped back, kept reading. Mom, this says she's still legally married, to someone in Florida. Our marriage isn't even legal. Lies, Oksana shouted. She made all this up because she never liked me. There are court documents here, Jacob said quietly. Marriage certificate dated 2 years ago. No divorce filing. You committed bigamy. A woman in the front row pulled out her phone. Started recording. Oksana saw it. Her composure cracked completely. You self-righteous bitch, she said, looking at me. You think you're so much better than me? You married a man who got in bed with the Russian mob. You lived off that money for 40 years. At least I'm honest about what I do. You're many things, Oksana. Honest isn't one of them. She turned to Jacob, softened her voice. Jacob, please, I love you. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I have a past. But I love you. Doesn't that matter? Jacob looked at her. Really looked at her. Did you know about my trust fund before I did? Silence. Did you investigate my finances? I needed to know if we were compatible financially. Did you plan to leave me after 90 days? Her face gave her away before her words could. I overheard your friends, Jacob said, talking about the $50,000 you convinced me to wire Monday, about the new identity Victor's preparing, about how you've done this before. You were spying on me? You were using me. She changed tactics, turned to the guests. This is family drama. Everyone has complications. Catherine is just upset because her son chose me over her. This is a controlling mother trying to ruin her son's happiness. Some guests nodded. She was still working the room. Then a man stood up from the back, middle-aged, professional suit. I'd never seen him before. Miss Kovlov, I'm Detective James Warren, Fraud Division. I've been tracking you for 9 months across 3 states. There are active warrants for your arrest. Wire fraud, identity theft, bigamy. I hadn't called police. I stared at him, confused. He walked forward. The private investigator who compiled this report contacted our office 2 weeks ago. We've been building a case. When we heard about the wedding, we thought you might run, so I attended as a guest. He pulled out handcuffs. Oksana backed away. You can't arrest me at my own wedding. You're not married. The ceremony wasn't legal. You were already married. 2 uniformed officers entered from the side door. Oksana looked at me. Pure hatred. You think you won? Victor will never let you walk away. You just humiliated his sister in front of 200 people. That settlement you mentioned? It's void now. He'll want the full 3.2 million, plus interest, plus damages for what you did to me today. You just destroyed your own life to save your pathetic son. Detective Warren took her arm. Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. As they led her away, she screamed back at me. He's coming for you. Victor doesn't forgive. You're dead. You're both dead. The doors closed behind her. The room erupted in chaos. Guests talking over each other. Some leaving quickly, others crowding around Jacob, several filming on their phones. My son stood frozen, still holding the investigator's report. I walked to him, touched his arm. I'm sorry, I said. I'm so sorry you had to learn. This way. He looked at me, eyes red. You knew for 3 days and didn't tell me. Would you have believed me? I don't know, maybe not. He looked around at the chaos, the abandoned wedding cake, the flowers, the guests staring at us. What do I do now? Now? We go home. We figure this out, together. What about Victor? I thought about Oksana's threat, about Victor's text demanding payment, about the 3.2 million he might now demand instead of 180,000. I don't know, I admitted, but we'll handle it. Detective Warren approached us. Mrs. Chen, Jacob, I need statements from both of you, and I need to warn you. Victor Kozlov is dangerous. If Miss Kozlov contacted him about today's events, you may need protection. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. You made a mistake today, Catherine. A very expensive mistake. We'll talk soon. I showed it to the detective. He frowned. Pack a bag, both of you. I'm arranging a safe location for tonight. Jacob looked at me. Mom, what have we done? I'd saved my son from a con artist, but I might have just put us both in the crosshairs of something much more dangerous. The video went viral within hours. Someone had filmed the entire confrontation. Rich mom destroys son's wedding. 4.2 million views by Monday morning. Half the comments said I was a hero. The other half called me a controlling monster. Jacob's phone had 847 missed calls. Mine had death threats, marriage proposals, and news interview requests. I unplugged everything. Day 1, Jacob stayed at my house, sat on the couch, didn't speak. Day 2, he asked for money for an annulment lawyer. I gave him cash. He took it without meeting my eyes. Day 3, police came to my door. Oksana had filed charges against me from jail. Harassment, slander, emotional distress. Jacob gave a statement defending me, but afterward, he still wouldn't look at me. Day 5, he moved out, to a friend's house across town. I need space, Mom, from her, from you, from all of it. I understand. Do you? You humiliated me in front of 200 people. She was going to rob you. I know, and I'm grateful, and I'm furious, and I don't know how to feel both things at the same time. He left. I sat alone in my kitchen, wondering if I'd saved my son or lost him. Day 7, my phone rang, unknown number. Mrs. Chen. A man's voice, Russian accent, not Victor. Who is this? A friend of Victor's. He asked me to call. Your settlement offer is void. You humiliated his sister publicly. He wants the full amount now. $3.2 million. You have 2 weeks. That's not how this works. It's how Victor's business works. 2 weeks, Mrs. Chen, or he starts taking other forms of payment. He hung up. I called Detective Warren. Is he bluffing? Long pause. Probably, but Victor Kozlov doesn't make empty threats. Be careful. David Torres, Marcus's business partner, came to see me a week later. I need to tell you something Marcus made me promise to keep secret unless you use the money publicly. What? About 800,000 of that inheritance came from the original deal with Victor. Marcus had been slowly legitimizing it through the construction business for 20 years. The IRS doesn't know, but if they audit deeply enough, they'll find it. So the money is dirty. It was. Marcus cleaned most of it, but not all. He ran out of time. What does that mean for me? It means if the IRS digs deep, you could face penalties. Maybe 200,000 in back taxes and fines. Maybe more. My lawyer called 2 days later. Catherine, the publicity triggered an IRS review. They're examining Marcus's offshore accounts. Nothing illegal, but complicated. You'll likely face penalties. I'd estimate $150,000 to $200,000. Will I lose everything? No, but it'll hurt. My neighbors were divided. Some stopped me on the street to say I did the right thing. Others crossed to the other side to avoid me. The butcher at the corner store refused to serve me. You're one of those rich people who pretend to struggle. I gave you discounts for years because I thought you needed them. You lied to me. I never said I was poor. You let me believe it. That's the same thing. He was right. 3 weeks after the wedding that wasn't, I took inventory. Oksana was out on bail awaiting trial. The annulment was in progress. Jacob wasn't speaking to me. Victor's people called every other day with threats. The IRS had frozen some of my accounts pending investigation. My face was all over local news as the controversial wealthy widow who destroyed her son's wedding. Detective Warren told me they couldn't provide protection unless Victor made an explicit threat. He's too smart for that, Warren said. He'll stay just legal enough. I sat in my small house, the one I chose not because I had to, but because I wanted to, and looked at Marcus's photo on the mantel. Did I do the right thing? I asked him. He smiled back at me from the frame. Silent, unhelpful. Just like when he was alive. I'd saved my son from a con artist, but I might have lost him anyway, and I'd put us both in danger from something I didn't fully understand. I'd won the battle, but the war was just beginning. 6 months after the wedding that broke the internet, the annulment was final. Oksana was serving 18 months for fraud in an unrelated case, a different victim in a different state. Victor got his $200,000 through an intermediary. He hadn't called since. The IRS took $183,000 in penalties. Case closed. Jacob worked at a coffee shop downtown. $15 an hour. He lived in a studio apartment in a neighborhood I'd never heard of. We had dinner once a month. It was still awkward. Month 1, silence. Polite questions about work and weather. He left after 40 minutes. Month 2, some honesty. I resent you, he said. I know, I said, but I also owe you everything. I know that too. Month 3. He told me about therapy. My therapist says I'm allowed to be both grateful and angry at the same time. Mine says the same thing. Month 4. We laughed over something stupid. I can't even remember what. It felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Month 5. I'm dating someone, he said. Her name is Sophie. She's a kindergarten teacher, makes $41,000 a year, drives a worse car than you do. I told her everything. About Oksana, about the wedding, about you. She said anyone who'd publicly humiliate their own son to save him must have had a really good reason. He paused. I think I love her, Mom. Month 6. Will you meet her? I'd changed too. I sold 2 of the rental properties, kept the ones that generated steady income, started the Marcus Chen Memorial Fund for fraud victims, moved to a slightly bigger house, still modest but with a garden where I could grow tomatoes. Bought a new car, nothing fancy, just something reliable that didn't leave me stranded. I went to therapy, learned I'd been using modesty as armor, learned that humility and self-denial aren't the same thing, learned I'd been hiding from my own life. Oksana sent me a letter from prison. I didn't open it for 3 weeks. When I finally did, it said, "You think you saved your son, you didn't. He's weak, he'll find another me, and when he does, you'll be dead. Old age comes for all broke old hags eventually. P.S. Victor says hello." I burned the letter, but I also upgraded my security system. On what would have been our 44th wedding anniversary, I visited Marcus's grave. I used the money, I told him. I saved our boy, maybe. He's angry at me still, but he's also alive and unmarried to a con artist. The money's mostly gone now. IRS, Victor, lawyers, donations, down to about $1.4 million, still more than I need. I touched his headstone. You were wrong about one thing. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy choices. And choices are freedom. I chose to save him. It cost us both something. We're both still here. I think that's what you wanted. Sophie came to dinner the following week. She brought wine and homemade bread. Kindergarten teacher, student loans, thrift store dress. Genuine smile. "Mrs. Chen, I've heard a lot about you," she said. "I imagine you have. Most of it's probably true." She laughed. Dinner was easy, natural. She asked about Marcus, about the foundation, about my garden. She didn't ask about money. When she thanked our waiter by name and asked about his daughter, I caught Jacob's eye. He smiled, really smiled. After they left, he called. So, what do you think? I think she's lovely. I think she sees you clearly. I think you see her clearly too. That's what matters. Did I choose right this time? You chose. That's what's right. I paused. But honey, run a background check anyway. He laughed. We both did. There's something Jacob doesn't know. That trust fund he donated to fraud victim organizations? My mother left him $50,000. I secretly added $450,000 over the years in her name, so he'd have security. The money he gave away to help people? It was mine all along. He still doesn't know. Maybe someday I'll tell him. Maybe I won't. Some secrets we keep to protect people. Some we keep because the truth is complicated. Marcus taught me that. I'm still learning. Did you like my story? Life is complicated, isn't it? We want to protect the people we love, but sometimes protection looks like letting them fall. Sometimes saving someone means watching them struggle. Sometimes love means making the hard choice, not the easy one. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have exposed her at the wedding? Told your son privately? Stayed silent and let him learn his own lessons? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If this story moved you, support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing you stories like this. Complicated, messy, real stories about real people making impossible choices. I'm looking forward to reading your comments and hearing your own stories. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.